It's Election Day 2024.
We're going to have the American dream back soon.
It is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
Right now, voters are having their say.
I actually just dropped off my ballots a few minutes ago.
From local ballot measures to the balance of power in Congress. We're bringing you team coverage. KARE 11 News at noon starts now.
Hi there, and thank you so much for joining us on this very important day for our country. There are 8 more hours to get out there and vote.
Gosh, we'll be covering local ballot measures and races on top of who will sit in the Oval Office.
And of course, we have Raya Katayane at a polling site in Lakeville with the Secretary of State. We also have Kent Erdahl in Minnetonka checking in with voters. But first, we want to see how the weather is shaping up for the rest of Election Day.
Well, it is going to be wet, that's for certain, around the Twin Cities metro. Rain moved in earlier this morning, and it looks like it's going to be lingering for at least the next couple of hours or so. Moderate to even heavier showers. You can see some of the bright spots there, especially over, looks like parts of McLeod County and Wright County, seeing some heavier showers roll through. Northwest Metro, St. Michael, Albertville, up towards the Elk River area, seeing some heavier showers as well. I do think a lot of the rain is going to taper by about mid to late afternoon, so probably a little closer to sundown, which is around 5 o'clock this time of day, or this time of year. A lot of cloud cover today. You can expect temperatures to hold pretty steady through the rest of the afternoon. Right now we're about 45 degrees, about 10 degrees cooler than this time yesterday with a north wind at about 10 miles per hour. But you can see temperatures across the region. We're all in the 40s for the most part. That means everything we do see today is going to be in the form of rain, not what we saw on Halloween. That was just a few days ago. But here's a sneak peek of the next 12 hours. Notice rainy conditions through about 4 to 4:30 or so before we see drier conditions by this evening. And guess what? A drier stretch of weather that should last through the rest of the week. We'll have more on your forecast details coming up. Alexis?
Ben, thank you. Millions of Americans are heading to the polls to cast ballots for Vice President Kamala Harris or former President Donald Trump. Either winner will make history as the first woman elected president or the second president to be elected to 2 non-consecutive terms. The final national NBC News poll of this election finds a neck-and-neck contest. Harris is getting support from 49% of registered voters, while Trump gets an identical 49%. Just 2% of voters said they are unsure about their choice. So what has voting looked like so far in Minnesota? That's where I go to my friend Kent Erdahl at a polling site in Minnetonka near the Ridgedale Center, where a line is already formed of people trying to wait to make their decision. Kent, what are you seeing so far?
Well, Alexis, I can tell you a couple of words to describe what I've seen so far this morning, and it's smooth and steady. That would include polling places that I visited in Golden Valley, in Minneapolis, where I voted when polls opened this morning, and here at Minnetonka. I'm at the Ridgedale Regional Center, which actually has 2 precincts for Minnetonka located within it. They had a bit of a line, maybe a 20-minute wait this morning. Right now, it's probably more like 5 minutes inside right now. And one of the reasons why it's been so smooth here, I'm told, is that of the 1.1 million Minnesotans who voted early before Election Day, about 50% of registered voters here in Minnetonka voted early. So that means that they are anticipating that it will be smooth and steady, of course. And those that I talked to that voted today, though, said they wanted to wait until Election Day to cast their ballot.
I usually like to do on Election Day. It just feels more like the day that it should be done.
And how did things go?
It went perfect, in and out in under 15 minutes, and very, very nice people in there helping.
If all the voting in the country was as good as this system is, we would never have a question about voter fraud.
Of course, speaking of that system here in this state, it's something we've heard the Secretary of State talk a lot about, keeping that integrity and security top of mind throughout the day today. They have a lot of help doing that. 30,000 or so election judges spread across the state of Minnesota. And here in Hennepin County and over in Ramsey County, we also know that the Justice Department has poll monitors on standby to make sure that federal laws are followed. So a lot of people watching, a lot of help to make sure that this happens. And again, Alexis, so far, smooth and steady.
2 words we are excited to hear. Thank you so much, Kent. And throughout the months leading up to today, Secretary of State Steve Simon has been working to ensure Minnesota elections are secure. Our new teammate, Raya Katayane, joins us live from Lakeville just hours after his latest promise that your ballot is safe. Hi, Raya.
Hey, Alexis, good afternoon to you. We are right outside the water treatment facility here in Lakeville. This is just one of the polling locations that Secretary of State Steve Simon is checking in with today just to make sure that everything is running smoothly for Election Day. And we've been here since about 9:30 this morning. We have seen another constant and steady line, just like Kent was describing just moments ago. That's what we're seeing out here in Dakota County as well. And even though, according to the head of elections here in Dakota County, about 40% of people here cast their ballots early this election. And speaking of early voting, here is the most up-to-date number according to Secretary Simon. More than 1.2 million Minnesotans have voted absentee and by mail. Now, this is just one, again, like I said, of the polling locations across the state that he is visiting today. And that number that I just mentioned to you is more than double the number of early voters back in 2016 when Minnesota ranked #1 for voter turnout in the country. Secretary Simon says election results in Minnesota should be in by breakfast time tomorrow morning, and he's looking forward to a drama-free election day.
I've said I've wished for two things: high turnout and low drama, and based on early reports, I'm very confident that both of those wishes are going to come true. Nothing's a cinch. We're going to be watching it every step of the way until 8 o'clock and afterwards, but so far, so good.
And for the first time, the state has actually created a phone number for you to be able to text any of your Election Day questions to. The phone number is on your screen right now. It is 651-217-3862. And of course, we'll continue to bring you all of the Election Day coverage all day, both on air as well as on KARE 11 Plus. Of course, that is our streaming app. We'll be there all night as well. And yeah, I mean, Alexis, listen, it is raining out here. The weather is definitely wet, but it's not deterring people from making their voices heard today.
Ryan, thank you so much and welcome to the team. And this is fresh video of early morning lines from voters in Milwaukee. We saw similar crowds in Waukesha County, and Wisconsin is considered a make or break state in the race for the White House. Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump aggressively campaigned late into the night. CeCe is here with their final messages to American voters. Can you believe we're here, CeCe?
Yeah, we're finally at the finish line. Candidates have made their final pitches, and millions of Americans are now headed to the polls to cast their ballot. For Vice President Harris, the campaign ends with a rally in Philadelphia, while former President Trump closes things out in Grand Rapids. After months of promises, the people now decide. 78 million Americans voted early, either in person or by mail. That's more than 2017 and 2016. Experts say this election could be decided by just tens of thousands of votes from a half dozen or so swing states. Here are the candidates' final messages to voters.
It is my pledge to you that if you give me a chance to fight on your behalf as president, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
If you vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, indeed the world, to new heights of glory.
I know many of us will be glued to our couches watching how everything plays out tonight and into the early morning. Trump is spending his day at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Harris is holding a watch party tonight at her alma mater, Howard University, out in Washington, D.C.
CeCe, thank you. The balance of power in Congress could also be impacted today. I want you to take a look at this screen. 435 seats are up for grabs in the House, 34 in the Senate. If either party takes full control, it could have a major impact on some hot button issues. Two races in Minnesota will play in the battle for control in Congress. In District 2, Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig is seeking a fourth term against Republican challenger Joe Tayrab, a former federal prosecutor. In the 3rd District, which covers a lot of the West Metro suburbs, Democrat Kelly Morrison and Republican Tad Jude are looking to take over for incumbent Congressman Dean Phillips, who announced he's not seeking a fourth term. We will have more on those candidates and what's at stake with political reporter John Croman later in the newscast.
With all of that said, here are some reminders if you're heading to the poll today. If you need to find your polling site, you can check the Poll Finder tool on the Minnesota Secretary of State's website. While you're there, you can look at a sample ballot to see what you will be voting for. You don't need to bring an ID if you're registered, but you will need it or another voter to vouch for you if you're registering today. Polls close at 8 p.m. You can vote as long as you're in line by 8. We have all this info and more tips in our KARE 11 voting guide on KARE11.com/vote. And of course, KARE 11 Plus is your home for live election night coverage. We'll be streaming all night starting at 5:30 with live reports, results, and expert analysis. Download KARE 11 Plus for free on several platforms, including Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV.
Well, turning now to some other big headlines. One of the costliest strikes in America in the last 25 years is now over. Boeing workers will be back at work tomorrow morning after voting to accept the company's latest offer.
This is a victory. We can hold our heads high. We all stood strong, and we achieved something that we hadn't achieved for the last 22 years.
The Mechanists Union voted by 59% to approve the deal. It means workers will get a 38% raise over 4 years. That includes an immediate raise of 13%. They also get a ratification bonus of $12,000. The deal does not restore the traditional pension plan workers lost in 2014 from their previous labor deal. Well, today is the last day of Elon Musk's daily $1 million voter giveaway. Yesterday, a Pennsylvania judge denied a request to stop the sweepstakes. Prosecutors had argued the lottery was illegal according to the state law, but the judge disagreed. Musk has already given out nearly $120 million to the super PAC funding the lottery, which supports former President Trump. Well, just this morning, we learned that Prince's sister, Tyka Nelson, has died. Nelson's sister told the Star Tribune Nelson's son told the Star Tribune that his mother died on Monday morning but didn't share any other details. She was a music writer and performer and later became heavily involved in maintaining Prince's legacy after his death. Tyka Nelson was just 64 years old.